Well, hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I've been able to see many of you and chat with you. Part of it is I've just been out of pocket. We had the General Assembly, which tied up a good bit of the first part of the month for me and for several of you as well. And then last week, Sanjay and I headed down to Killeen, Texas, and had a wonderful week. Spent a week with my son, which is always a rare privilege. And so I've been out of pocket doing that as well. And then this week we brought our grandchildren back with us. And so I know I've got a real job and I'm going to try to get my job done, but it's quite a rare joy and privilege to have my grandchildren, or at least three of my virtually perfect grandchildren with Sanjay and I. And so God only knows what's going to be happening in Bethalto this week. Sanjay's taking them to a water park nearby. And so I'll be praying for her. But I'm going to hang back. I do have a real job and got to act like it from time to time. But anyway, it's a great privilege to have our grandchildren with us. But I felt like I wanted to give a shout out to you. And it's end of the month, and August will be here, and things begin to pick back up in August. Kids will start going back to school, and the fall calendar is beginning to unfold, and I hope you're already working on that and having a great fall and a great winter. But I don't know, today, I guess when you travel, you have time to reflect on your life. And so I've been reflecting a little bit lately, and I was reminded of Jacob. When he's on his way back, God had told him after all those years of working for Laban, and you know that story, and God had told him it's time to go back to your roots and the land that I've promised you. And so he finds out that Esau is coming with 400 soldiers, and he is panic stricken. He's going to have to face the music and face his past, and we all know that story. And he wrestled with God, and now he's walking with a limp. He's even weaker, and but he's got this family. He's got all these cattle. God has really blessed him. But he's talking to the Lord, and he says, "When I crossed over this Jordan all those years ago, all I had was a staff. That's all I had. And now I'm coming back, and I've got a lot to lose. I got a lot on the line, Lord, and I need you to come through." And now more than ever, he needs that staff as he's walking with a limp. And that reminded me, for us and for myself, don't forget your staff. And I remember Sanjay had these questions she was asking on the way back from Killeen over the weekend, just to kind of pass the time away. And she said, "What would be the one week of your life that you'd want to live over if you could?" She was asking all the kids. She had a lot of funny questions too, but that's kind of a serious question. And the first thing that popped in my mind, and I gave this answer, was I'd like to live my honeymoon over, because I didn't realize how special that was at the time. We just, we got married, and I don't hardly remember anything about my wedding. I just wanted to get through it and get on with life. We jumped in the car, we drove to Myrtle Beach, we spent a week, and then we showed up at Palmetto Street, Church of God in Florence, South Carolina, and that's when I began my full-time ministry. Sanjay and I together began our full-time ministry. And it was a wonderful week, had no responsibilities. For the only time in our life, we had no real responsibilities. My job didn't start till that following Monday. And so it was I wished I could have knew what I was doing and could have really enjoyed it and savored that week with just my wife. But I showed up at Florence. I remember on the way back, I started out after my wedding, I had $100 to my name. And on the way back, I had a little bit of pocket change. And I had to be careful with the gas nozzle to not overshoot, because that's all the money we had to our name. Now, I was going to have a paycheck waiting on me when I got there, but I didn't have that money. All I had was that pocket change. And I was so embarrassed. Sanjay was willing to go in and pay for it, 53 cents or whatever it was back in those days. You could buy a lot more gas for $1 or less. And we limped in to Florence. And so all I had was my staff. That was in 1975. And I was an exhorter. And in my office, my exhorter's credential and you had exhorter, licensed, and ordained in those days. And my exhorter and license, I've got them stored away. Because I'm not one to put, I don't have any certificates or certification or diplomas, anything on my wall. It's just, I don't know, it's just me. I'm not knocking other people. But I do have two things. I keep pictures of my wife, the different stages of our life, and a few other things that are special to me. I keep pictures leaned up against the wall. But I do have my staff that I keep here all the time. And my staff is my credentials. When I started, all I had was my Church of God credentials. And this is my ordained credentials, which is now called ordained bishop's license. And I keep those right here. And they're right there where I see them every day. And I got my ordained credentials in 1987. November the 12th was when they were issued, and they were presented to me later in January at the annual prayer conference. And I became an ordained bishop in the Church of God. Raymond Crowley, some of you will remember him. Raymond Crowley was the general at that time, and my overseer was Robert Hart. And so I keep those, and I have another copy. I didn't do it for years, but for those of us that receive these credentials, you can also get the new credentials. It's got ordained bishop on it, and I don't care that much about bishop title. I think it's that's just me again, but. So I didn't care about going around. As a pastor, I never told my people that my formal title was bishop. Pastor was more than enough. And I realize in my new position that bishop is an appropriate title because that's what I am. But anyway, I digress. But these are my ordained bishop. This is another part of my staff. And I did get them because I wanted my credentials. I wanted Tom Gillum, who will probably almost certainly be my last overseer in active ministry. After I left the pastorate and became a bishop myself, Tom Gillum had a big impact. He was a dear friend, but at the time he had a very big impact in my life and in my ministry, still does. And I've got Tim Hill, who is I feel like arguably one of the greatest general overseers we've ever had, and led us through COVID and so much. And so two great men that have had a big impact in my life, and I've got their signatures, and I wanted that. And I don't have it in a form, I just keep it on top of the other one. But this is my staff. It's when I surrendered, it's when I wrestled with God. And I said, God, I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do. And I'll come under submission. I will identify myself with the Church of God as a recognition that I am yours, that I am called by you. And do you know, both of these are not mine. These belong to the Church of God. And our bishop can ask for them back anytime if we're unworthy to have them. If the Church of God doesn't want my name to be associated with them, the general overseer, in my case, could ask for these credentials back. This is our staff, and it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to God. And it is a depiction that we have surrendered, that we walk with a limp, that we don't have the strength to do this. We don't have the ability to do this. It's our credentials. It's our staff. It's the calling of God on our life that qualifies us. But the good news is, that's all you need. When I started out on this journey, I limped into Florence with nothing but a wonderful, loving wife, a helpmate that has stood shoulder to shoulder with me, heart to heart, rib to rib. And the two of us, we didn't have a lot of knowledge, we didn't have a lot of know-how, we didn't have a lot of resources, but we had our staff, we had our credentials. And today, God, I guess I was just reflecting on how God is, since that honeymoon week, how much God has blessed me in so many ways. But I don't need any of those things. What got me here is the staff, is what the staff represents. And that's the call of God on my life. And for those of you that are called into the ministry, I want to remind you that that's all you need. You may be feeling overwhelmed right now, and that's a good thing, because now you have to operate in His strength and not yours. And it may be bigger than you. The challenges may be bigger than you. You may have an army coming at you, and you don't know if you're going to survive. Lean on your staff. Lean on the anointing. Lean on the call of God on your life, and God will get you through. And so that's all I got for you today, but that's enough. Lean on your staff, and don't ever disparage and apologize and feel embarrassed or make little of your credentials. That's your staff, and it represents the fact that you've got all you need, and that's the call and the anointing and the surrender and the accountability to God, and He'll see you through. All right. God love you. Let's keep running to win. Let's try to have a good week. I'm doing this on Monday, and let's have a great week, and I'll be seeing you soon, Lord willing. Take care. Bye-bye.